Turtle Bay TV is made possible by Voya Financial and generous viewers like you. Movement, the act, process, or results of moving. Why do we move? On a large scale, to get from one place to another, to get something that we need or would like to have, to seek adventure or explore new places, for exercise, health, and our well-being, just to name a few examples. On a smaller, involuntary scale, our bodies are constantly moving as our heart pumps blood through our arteries and veins and as our lungs exchange air. In plants, we often see movement as the wind blows, but on a microscopic scale, photosynthesis and water movement is constantly happening. Historically, movement has transformed dramatically with new innovations in transportation and technology. Rafts and canoes made from natural materials are evidence of early human movement from one place over a body of water. Animals like horses, mules, and oxen were used to move people and things over vast areas of land. Later, discoveries provided movement by power, the burning of wood, fuel, and coal. As we continue to realize the importance of renewable, sustainable energy, solar power and wind power are some of the newer technologies that are reinventing the way energy is created, thus changing how humans move. What do you think movement will look like in the future? Join us for this episode of Turtle Bay TV as we explore this diverse subject, from how steam engines work to how animals move in their natural habitat. Because movement is everywhere. Hi, my name's Ryan from Turtle Bay Exploration Park. Thanks for joining us. From the smallest insect to the inventions that help us travel the world, movement is all around us. Whether it be for health, necessity, or just plain fun, movement is something we all have in common. Let's learn more about this diverse subject as we dive into the science of air movement and the forces of momentum. Go back in time to the power of steam, hear more about the beautiful benefits of grasses, and see how animals are uniquely equipped to move through their environment. All on this episode of Turtle Bay TV. Welcome to Turtle Bay TV, your personal virtual experience of everything Turtle Bay Exploration Park has to offer, including animals.
Daintree is a jungle carpet python.
Distance learning.
Oh, 36 pennies.
Horticulture.
Today we're in the nursery.
Exhibitions and more.
Welcome to the vault.
To inspire wonder, exploration, and appreciation of our world. Now let's jump into this episode of Turtle Bay TV. Grab something to write with because it's time to go over our trivia questions. Number 1. What is the movement of logs from point A to point B called? Number 2. What does the ridge on a gray fox's long tail help them with? Finally, momentum is the product of multiplying what two things? Listen close and write down your answers, and we'll go over them at the end. And keep an eye out for light bulbs. It means an answer's coming up at any moment. While on our own, we only have 2 legs to help us get around. But throughout history, we have found ways to move farther, faster, and take a lot more with us. Let's look at one of the most revolutionary inventions to movement, steam power, through 2 of our forestry artifacts here at Turtle Bay, the Shea locomotive and Dolbier steam donkey.
Hi, I'm Julia Cronin, Curator of Collections and Exhibits here at Turtle Bay Exploration Park.
And I'm Amanda Cramp, Assistant Curator of Collections and Exhibits. We humans are pretty adept at moving things around. Eventually, we learned to harness water, wind, gravity, and animals to provide power and movement for us.
As early as the 1st century AD, inventors began experimenting with a new way to harness the power of water, steam.
A reciprocating steam engine performs mechanical work by using the force of steam pressure to push a piston inside a cylinder. Here at Turtle Bay, we are fortunate to have 2 reciprocating steam engines on exhibit. Both of these were designed for the logging industry. They are our Shea locomotive and Dolbier steam donkey. Let's take a look at our engines.
This is a Class A Shea 2C2T locomotive designed by Ephraim Shea and built at the Lima Locomotive Works in Lima, Ohio in 1884. Researchers believe this number 2 is the oldest Shea still in existence. Its job was to haul timber out of the woods and to move people and their equipment to where it was needed.
To make steam, you have to boil water. To boil water, you need a fuel source to produce heat. On this engine, the water was stored in this 825-gallon tank. Originally, the boiler was heated with a wood fire, but this Shay was converted to burn fuel oil, which was stored in this 100-gallon tank.
The Shay's boiler is a T-shape. Steam was created inside the boiler, which is like a giant pressure cooker. This design is unlike the drive systems on other locomotives because sometimes movement isn't helpful. Ephraim Shay found that common rod engines tend to jerk back and forth with each piston stroke and tear apart the wooden tracks that were often used at the time. This geared arrangement also works better on the tight turns and steep grades that are common to logging operations.
Across from the Shay, we do have an operating steam engine, our Dolbier steam donkey. This Dolbier steam donkey dates to the 1890s and was operated in Fresno County until 1929. It is on loan to us from Sequoia National Forest. In the 1970s, it was restored to operating condition for demonstrations. And last year, it got a brand new boiler so we can continue to run it safely here at Turtle Bay. The donkey engine was invented by John Dolbier. Stationary capstan winches like this one were used aboard ships to do the heavy lifting. This model was designed to work in the forest. It replaced the animal power provided by horses and oxen pulling logs from the cutting site to elsewhere. This movement of logs from point A to point B is called yarding.
Unlike the Shay, this engine is wood-fired. Water is held in this box and fed into the vertical boiler. Heat from the fire rises through the tubes inside the boiler and heats the water. The capstan is the winch that does all the work. It pulls a rope or wire that is, at its other end, attached to a log that needs to be moved. Because it is powered by steam pressure, it is more powerful than modern diesel equipment many times its size. The donkey has a bonus feature. It's on skids, so it can pull itself through the woods. All of this movement is made possible by the power of steam.
Get outside and have a blast moving around our Forest Adventure Playground at Turtle Bay. Right at the start of Paul Bunyan's Forest Camp, the playground's tower, obstacles, and climbing wall create a fun and adventurous experience that both older children and adults will love. The playground is not only fun, but it's also a history lesson of forestry in our area. As you climb the large tower for a bird's eye view of the park, you share a similar experience to those who scan the area from fire lookouts or a logger who just scaled a tree. And as you take the long slide down the zip line, you mimic the logging arch pulleys used in forestry. Fun, challenging play is a great way for the whole family to stay healthy all year long. So come on out to Turtle Bay and explore our Forest Adventure Playground. We all love the sound of the wind in the trees, but with the right plant choices, a little breeze can bring beautiful movement to your home landscape. Let's join Lisa and hear more about grasses and how they could be the perfect addition to your next family backyard project.
Hi, I'm Lisa Endicott. I'm the horticulture manager here at Turtle Bay, and we are in the botanical gardens in the Celebration Garden. And today we're talking about one of my favorite family of plants, the grass family or Poaceae family. I want to talk about how grasses bring movement into the gardens. When you get the slightest bit of a breeze, grasses will move in that breeze and bring movement to otherwise static gardens. And they also have really graceful forms. They're upright, they're fountain-like, they're flowing, and so they bring all the different textures of your garden together really beautifully. Also, they are pest and disease resistant, very easy to take care of. Just in early spring, you cut them down close to the ground, and that's it. Grasses are also a plant that dragonflies and butterflies love to land on and then move in the breeze. There are grasses from all over the world that we can grow here in our climate, which is a Mediterranean climate, and lots of species of drought-tolerant grasses. The weeping love grass behind me is very drought-tolerant, but if you give it more water, it will reseed around your garden more. So less is better with many plants and including drought-tolerant grasses. You can dig them up in the springtime and move them around, transplant them around your garden so you have some visual cohesion going on. So your eye just follows those grasses throughout the garden and brings the garden together. When they go dormant in the fall, that's actually a really nice fall and winter accent because there's still a vertical element in your garden and you don't have to cut them back till February or March.
I'm Sharon Clay, curator of animal programs here at Turtle Bay Exploration Park, and I am here today with a Nolly, our gray fox. The gray fox is such a unique member of the canine family because they are arboreal. You know, one of the few dog species that actually lives in the trees, and she has many characteristics or adaptations that allow for this lifestyle. She has semi-retractable claws that help her to easily climb straight up branches, sort of like a cat. And her long tail, well, that long tail has a ridge down it. Acts like a tightrope walker, allowing her to balance. And you might notice she has short little legs. That lowers her center of gravity, so it's easy for her to maneuver along the branches. The gray fox is what we consider the farmer's friend because they are a native species of fox and a specialist. Being a specialist with this small little muzzle, they're able to grab rodents and lizards, and they're very, very helpful to the environment.
The arboreal nature of the gray fox can even be seen when they're a tiny little kit. Their legs are short, their body is long and slender, and they're set up perfectly for life in the trees right off the bat. You may notice that the youngster already has a very long tail with a ridge going down it. That tail is actually longer in proportion to the body than the adult gray fox to give them a little extra balance and extra help while they're young and still clumsy as they're trying to make their way through the trees as well. And their coloration is already perfect for camouflage as they move through the forest. And everybody notices on young fox kits how large those ears are. They need to be able to hear very well. They want to hear mom when mom is vocalizing to them and to hear all the sounds of nature. But they'll grow into those ears for sure.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Reading Recreation. I'm here to tell you about some of the over 70 parks that we have in Reading. Community parks, such as Caldwell and Enterprise, are great for exercise, biking, or family fitness games, where small neighborhood parks are great for a quiet getaway on a nice day. Whether it be trails, parks, preserves, there's an activity that can be found in these parks for everyone. From mountain biking and running on the trails, to soccer and ultimate frisbee in the park, we have an activity for everybody. This is part of what makes Reading a great place to live. All the parks can be found on the Reading Recreation Park Finder tab. Whether you're looking for the best play structure in town or just a spot for a quiet picnic or to read a book with your family, Reading Recreation has it all. The health factor cannot be understated. Whether you're there for physical fitness or just some mental well-being on a sunny day, getting out of the house and into the parks is a fantastic way to enjoy the best that Reading has to offer.
Hi there, my name is Ariella Ong from the Reading Aquatic Center, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the ABCs of water safety. A stands for adult supervision. Make sure while your child is out in play, you're having adult supervision at all times. Inflatable devices and or floaties are not substitutes for life jackets or adult supervision. And next is B, which is barriers. Make sure the play areas that you have, whether it's a pool or a playground, is in an enclosed area. Make sure that those gates are self-latching, and be sure that there are no large objects or chairs that could possibly let children out of the gates and or escape from said supervision. If we do, then we can't have fun in the sun, and that's no good, especially in the summer in Redding, California. Next is C, which is classes. You can go to the American Cross website or other agencies to take a CPR class that helps you and others stay safe and in case an emergency happens. Additionally, you can take the Learn to Swim classes here at the Reading Aquatic Center by going to the Reading Recreation website, or you can call 530-245-7242. This is Ariella Ong from the Reading Aquatic Center, and I'm signing off today with the ABCs of water safety. Have a nice day.
From flying high in the sky to swimming in the depths of the ocean below, animals move in all different ways. These diverse movements are unique to their environment and survival. Let's join our animal department and travel around the world and back to Turtle Bay as we learn about all the ways animals move around us.
I'm Sharon Clay, curator of animal programs.
And I'm Adrienne John, assistant curator of the animal programs.
Today we're going to talk about movement or locomotion among the animal world. We think of birds as flying animals, but all birds fly in different ways. There's many different types of wing shapes. You may have broad wings for soaring, like most vultures. But if you live in the forest and you need maneuverability, you're gonna have short little wings and a long tail. When you're looking at speed, well, you have another type of wing, long pointed wings with stiff feathers. Most famous of all, the peregrine falcon, diving at speeds over 200 miles an hour.
There's lots of other species that use flight. In fact, bats are one of the most numerous types of mammals in the world, and they use a specialized membrane to be able to flap just like a bird to fly. But there's animals that don't actually flap their wings and actually glide more than fly. These include things like flying squirrels and sugar gliders, and the coolest one of all is the gliding tree snake. They'll flatten their body out and propel themselves from one tree gliding down to another.
Birds will flock in thousands of birds and then move together almost like dancing. It's called a murmuration. You see this behavior in things like starlings that use these movements to keep them safe and confuse predators. Lots of animals live up in the trees. That's called being arboreal. Here in North America, we have the opossum. Their tail is semi-prehensile. They use it like a fifth limb so they can help to balance along the branches. And then there's the clouded leopard. This is one of the most arboreal of all the big cats. Having feet that are so large, it's the largest per body size of any cat. They can actually hang from a tree just using one paw.
And when we often think of snakes, we think of them living on the ground or underground. Some of them are arboreal, just like our other animals that we've talked about. They have specialized scales and muscles that allow them to grip onto the branches. There's even aquatic snakes out there. Animals like our anacondas from South America are so big and heavy-bodied, they actually swim better than moving on the land. One of the coolest types of snake movement is a sidewinder. Sidewinders are vipers that live in the hot, dry deserts. So they actually have a specialized sidewinding movement where only 2 parts of their body are ever touching that hot sand at one time. There's a lot of animals out there that we don't necessarily think about moving very much. For instance, sloths. Sloths are the slowest mammal in the world. They move only about 125 feet each day. Despite that, they're actually fantastic swimmers. And desert tortoises, they have to lumber across the vast dry desert, and they do it at only 0.25 miles per hour. And aquatic invertebrates, animals like sea stars, anemones, and even corals, we may not see them move with our own eye, but watch them in time lapse. Those animals are booking it.
When you're out in nature and you see animals around you, take a moment to stop and see what their special characteristics are that allow them to move through the world. Because the types of movements are as varied as the number of animals on the planet.
Hi everyone, I'm Lorinda with the Education Department at Turtle Bay Exploration Park. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about momentum. Momentum is how much motion a single object has. Now, momentum is dependent on 2 things. It's dependent on mass, so how much stuff an object has, and then how fast it's moving. So it's velocity, it's direction and speed. So momentum is the product of mass times velocity. We're gonna check out the momentum of individual balls. So we're gonna see how these balls bounce all by themselves. If you noticed, we dropped each ball from about the same height, about 3 feet off the ground. Now, when the ball bounced, when it came back up, it didn't reach quite as far as how high it was dropped. And that's because some of its momentum was absorbed into the ground. So with whatever momentum it had left, it was able to bounce back up. So when objects collide, the law of momentum conservation states that the momentum of 2 objects remains the same after a collision occurs. The 2 objects might have different amounts of momentum after the collision, but the total amount of momentum remains the same. We're gonna watch and see what happens when the balls are stacked up on top of one another and gets dropped. In this experiment, you can see that the tennis ball, because of the momentum from the bounce ball, the tennis ball is able to bounce up higher than it did when we just dropped the tennis ball on its own.
Redding has over 225 miles of trails that you can enjoy your mountain bike on, ranging from beginner trails that wind along the Sacramento River to a couple of the more unique trails that we have to offer. The Snail Trail, I would call it a world-class flow trail, and the Enticer, which is a full-on bike park style jump trail. Redding's trail system is great for visitors because of the ease of access from downtown Redding. Within a couple minutes from downtown, you have access to unlimited single track. One amazing event that we have annually is the Mayor's Mountain Bike Challenge, which really helps unite the local cycling community while also showcasing our amazing trails. Visitors look forward to year-round riding. There's not a season that you can't beat on the trails. No matter your skill level, Redding's trail system really has something to offer everybody. I encourage you to come and enjoy our world-class trail system, a famously Redding icon.
Air molecules are all around us, but just because we can't see them with our eyes doesn't mean they're not moving. Let's join Liz in the classroom for a fun science project where we get to see air on the move with a vortex cannon.
Hi everyone, my name is Liz. I'm an educator here at Turtle Bay Exploration Park, and today we're going to be making vortex cannons. Now, you can make a vortex cannon using common items found around a house. For our purposes, what we're going to be using is a box. Now, other materials you'll need is some tape. I'm going to be using a box cutter, but scissors also work, and also a permanent marker. So for this, it's very important that you have all four sides and no holes through it, but you might notice we have this flap open. This is where our tape comes in handy. So if you're looking at our box today, you'll notice the top is closed, there's no holes on the side, so that's where we're going to take our permanent marker. I'm actually going to use my tape roller, make a perfect hole, just like this. And because I'm over 18, I am actually going to be using my box cutter, but if you're going to be doing this at home, please make sure you're having a grown-up there. We'll be using the box vortex cannon for our demonstration later, but I'm actually going to teach you how to make a vortex cannon using some of our other supplies. So if you would like to use our Lysol one, you actually will take your box cutter once in. You will need a grown-up. You're going to cut a very small hole on one end like this. And then taking a balloon, you're going to tie one end and then cut the top and actually place it over the end. And this way you have your front part that's actually going to be pushing the air out, and this end as your trigger. So you might be wondering, hey Liz, how am I going to shoot my vortex cannon? So air is gas that's everything around us. Unlike solids or liquid, the little molecules actually like to take up a lot of space. So inside, there's gas molecules just bouncing around. And what we want to do is actually force it out. So because air is invisible, we're actually going to be using a very special machine, a fog machine. So keeping it on a steady platform, I'm actually going to use my two hands and actually pop it. Now, because air molecules are constantly bouncing around and moving, it's really hard to throw them or push. So our vortex cannon really comes in handy because it kind of holds them together in one area, the chamber. And as you push it, it'll actually create what looks like a ring. The air cannon is an excellent example of how air, like all matter, can be forced and moved. So I hope when you are designing your air cannon, you design, test, and rethink how you can make it. Try different shapes, different materials, and have fun.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Let's see if you got the correct answers to our trivia questions. Number 1, the movement of logs from point A to point B is called yarding. Number 2, the ridge on a gray fox's long tail helps him with balance. Finally, momentum is the product of multiplying mass times velocity. Thank you for joining us. Turtle Bay is a nonprofit organization supported by generous viewers like you. Please visit turtlebay.org/donate to support all our wonderful programs that help you explore our world. Until next time on Turtle Bay TV. Turtle Bay TV is made possible by Voya Financial, with further episode support from U.S. Bank.